Welcome, Tintolkers. It's very nice to see all of you here. My name is Tiffany Scurry. I am Vice President and Chief Compliance Officer at Western Digital. Our other lead judges today are Barney Rosenberg, President of Ethics Line, and Louis Milan, Senior Vice President of Global Fraud Extension at Citi. And we have some other judges on the panel as well. In this part of the competition, you are taking on a fictional business identity and assigning a fictional business identity to the judges. Please make sure everyone knows who you are and who they are before you begin. You will have 25 minutes to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem, and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all three counts. During this time, the teams will be uninterrupted, but when you are finished, the judges will ask you questions for 10 to 15 minutes. During the Q&A, both you and the judges will stay in character, and after the Q&A, the judges will give you feedback outside of the role playing.
Okay. Perfect.
And Barney, you're going to be keeping time. Do you have anything procedural about how that works?
Just my 2-minute warning.
Okay. All right, so with that, we can have the 25 minutes begin.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Cami, can you share the presentation, please?
Can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Then, can I start now?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Hello, we are Tintolkers Consulting Group, and we are glad to present this consultancy to you, the Rapis Board of Directors. Our group is formed by Daniela Cabrera, Camila Marulanda, Nicolás León, and me, Daniel Real. After having a comprehensive review of the company situation, we are going to show you the information that has been collected, the analysis of it, and our proposed solution for it. I would like to start saying that it's impressive to see the growth that you have had in Colombia and in Latin America since your bid in 2015. You have advanced with exponential steps, and now you are in 7 important countries of the continent and its main cities. You have obtained to be a company that received full support from giant companies such as the renewed Japanese telecommunication company, SoftBank, that inject you an investment for $1 billion, or DTS company that invests you an investment for $220 million. It's also incredible to see that you have become the first Colombian unicorn and that your company is valued at $1 billion according to Silicon Valley, just being intermediaries between a consumer and a courier who will carry any type of product or deliver any kind of service that people want. For example, restaurant food, market products, medicine, cash money, digital payments, and transfers, and even crazy things like the help of a delivery man. Can you believe that? Also, their help to unpack a suitcase after a long trip, or even a 4th person to play PlayStation. Your collaborators or couriers are best known as Rapitenderos, and according to you, there are freelancers who find economic opportunities in Rappi and an additional source of income that allows them to carry out their professional and personal projects. Probably you could know approximately the number of Rapitenderos that there are in Latin America and specifically in Colombia. But do you know about the demographic data of your workforce? If you don't, it's okay, don't worry, because a study of the Rosario University of Colombia has found the following numbers. It's incredible to imagine that more than half of Rapitenderos in Colombia are Venezuelans, that due to the migratory crisis on their country have found on your company a new opportunity to survive in an unknown country. It's admirable that you are one of the most generally employed companies in the country that contributes to the national economy and help those families who need an income source. Most of your Rapitenderos and your workforce are men, exactly 83.6%, while the remaining are women. Most of them belong to a socioeconomic status where they don't find growth opportunities. And I know this is sad because most of them are very young people. They are around 25 or 35 years old. Most of them are householders, so they have to pay for their food, the daily rent of the places where they live. More than half of them have to support their children and relatives and pay a data plan to be able to use the application and work and have access to other basic necessities. Also, they have to pay for their work utensils like the box delivery, the orange jacket, and their transportation mode. You have managed to become one of the 5 most innovative companies in the continent, but that wouldn't have been possible if it hadn't been for your Rapitenderos. That's why our consulting group considered that they should be more valued because they are the fundamental axis of your company. The inequality that exists in Latin America countries is not a secret, which means that many people, due to their like education training and complete studies, don't find any other generation source income than Rappi. So they decide to be full-time workers of your company. And a half of Rapitenderos have complete high school, and some of them have university but incomplete training. Due to this, they find in you an opportunity, but working at least every day of the week, more than 10 hours daily in average. This is incredible. We understand that within your business model, direct hiring of Rapitenderos is not contemplated, and that the gig economy transforms the labor market because your collaborators are independent workers, so you don't have to pay them social security. But it is okay for your largest workforce to be unprotected, that the most of them don't have access to a health system or a contribution system for their pension, that most of them work more hours a day than they're recommended and legal. That's why in Tintolkers Consulting Group, we propose a strategy, an opportunity that goes hand in hand with the gig economy, which you continue earning and growing more, while your Rapitenderos, which we consider a vulnerable population, also do, especially the neediest, migrants and non-migrants. Now, my partner Camila is going to talk to you about the problem contextualization. Camila, I give you the floor.
Thank you so much, Daniel. As he already told you, we are going to go through the problem contextualization. As you know, we live in a free market system where different companies engage in short-term work agreements with independent workers. In Colombia, the rate of informal employment is 47%, which represents 5.6 million people. A portion of these people find in the gig economy an easy-to-entry option to support themselves and their family. Although it's true that it allows them to avoid unemployment, it also leaves them in a vulnerable position in the labor market. With all of this information in mind, our key takeaway, our main conclusion, is that Rappi has evolved so fast that it has taken the law by surprise, which hasn't been able to respond as fast to the situation. As a result, thousands of Rapitenderos have shown their inconformity as they feel uncertain about their future and unsupported by the company. Now we will analyze the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions. Through our analysis of the ethical dimension, we came to the conclusion that your company has an excellent opportunity for growth and improvement, as well as through the legal analysis. And finally, through the financial dimension analysis, we found that Rappi has a moderate opportunity for growth and improvement. When putting the 3 dimensions together as a consulting group having the best interest of both parts in mind, we came up with a sustainable solution that at the end of the day would benefit all of your stakeholders. First, we're going to look through the ethical dimension. To do this, we base our analysis in the rights approach, which states that humans have a dignity based on their human nature. In this nature, they have the rights to be treated as ends and not means to an end. We understand that to you this concept may be distant, but we would like you to have it in mind as we go through the analysis, as a Rapitendero is not simply the bridge between a store and a customer. As a first ethical issue, we evidence that due to the exponential growth that Rappi has had over the last years, you've been mainly focusing on results, and as a consequence, your collaborators have been left aside, more specifically their work conditions. We also understand that when you have a company that is as successful and that is growing so fast as yours, it could be easy to fall into unethical practices unintentionally. But it's not acceptable. And in this case, the overvaluing of results has left collateral damage that can be seen in your Rapitenderos. Due to the different strikes that they have made, the government has decided to address the subject, and last year, Colombia's Minister of Labor said, and I quote, "Colombia's constitution states that every worker has to have decent work conditions. We believe that the Rapitenderos lack dignity in their work. Rappi could help us make their work a little more decent." As the minister spoke about decent work, we believe it's important to highlight that the International Labour Organization stated that to have this, the work should have some characteristics, which are a fair income, security in the workplace, social protection for the family, and prospects for personal growth. By mentioning this, we are not trying to say that the job opportunities you provide are not decent, as we acknowledge that you have made tremendous efforts by hiring an insurance company that takes care of the occupational risks your collaborators may have. But looking at the definition as a whole, it is clear that there are some very interesting opportunities that we would like to tackle later with our solution. Next, we analyze your definition of a rapitendero, and its key elements are independency, economic opportunities, additional income source, and personal or professional projects. But when contrasting this to the reality, we found that they end up working 10, 12, or even 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Working at such rates really leaves no time to study, have another job, or start their personal project. That's why we believe that it's important for you that your statements match the reality, because it could have a negative effect on your reputation and it would diminish your career's loyalty. With this, we invite you to never dismiss any type of information. Finally, why is it important to add ethics? Well, it's important because it will improve your image and reputation, making you stronger, and it's also a strategic decision, because ethics would make you more aware of the consequences your actions have. This awareness is what would end up benefiting all of your stakeholders, and at the end of the day, you will have a sustainable business model through time. Now I would like to hand over to my partner, Nicolas, who is going to talk to you about the financial dimension.
Thank you, Camila. Okay, now I am going to walk you through the financial dimension of our identified problem and our proposed solution. So, as you already know, there have been several protests in Latin America in which the rapitenderos have decided to suspend their daily work activities, demanding better working conditions and making it difficult for you to meet the continuously growing demand. We have estimated this cost for you, and as an example, we took the service rate in Santiago, that is about $2, along with 500,000 deliveries made in 1 month. We are talking about roughly $34,000 that you could stop receiving just in 1 day and just in this city. We also estimated the different costs, talking about fines that you had to pay in the last year in Colombia. The first one was a payment about $80,000 regarding the handling of personal information of the users of your platform. For this reason, the authorities of Colombia decided to run an investigation against you. You also had to pay $400,000 as a result, and pay attention to this number, 750,000 users' complaints. The most important fact in this situation is that this number still is increasing every day. We conclude that you are not only having trouble with your career requirements, but also with the legal determinations made by authorities and the user's complaints. This other example takes place in Argentina. In this country, for example, your couriers decided to create an union through which they communicate their demands to your company. And on top of that, the government authorities decided to suspend your operations in Buenos Aires. Now, we consider that these numbers represent excessive administrative costs for your business, because you will have to keep a huge portion of your revenues in order to pay all of these fines that have been imposed to your company, and will continue increasing if you don't improve your current business model. Tintolkers consider that it is more profitable for your business to allocate part of these resources in the development of a strategy that actually strives to understand your people's needs. We think that it's too risky for the sustainability of your business in the long run to continue facing the authorities, the unions, and the consumers' complaints. We also understand that initially you were a market breaker with your business model, but currently you are not. You are a permanent player and you are surrounded by several competitors. The biggest one that we identified in Colombia is domicilios.com. This company actually is offering better working conditions to their independent employees. They are actually paying their social security and they guarantee a basic salary for them. As a consulting group, we consider this as a key differentiator in the market because it not only influences the purchase decision made by the consumer, but also the decision that the courier takes into account in order to decide in which company do they want to work for, thinking about their current and future needs. At this point, we want to make something clear for you, and is that your brand image and your reputation is being seriously affected and you are falling behind your competition. Although your growth rates are the best in the market, you are overlooking other sides of the business that are also important. When we compare the fines expenditures with the extraordinary earnings of your business and the amount of investments that you have received in recent years, we conclude that the implementation costs of our proposed solution are almost negligible. Actually, you have already got the financial support in order to develop your strategy. But if you really consider the solution that we are going to propose you later, you are going to improve your operating fleet. But by doing this, you will also achieve two big objectives that you have already defined in your growth strategy. You will gain new markets through making alliances with one of the biggest enterprises in Colombia. To conclude, if you guarantee not only better life conditions for your employees, but also for their families, you will be recognized in the whole industry and in the market as a company that is growing fast in Latin America and improving their economies, while is striving to understand its people needs and to improve their life quality. Now, my business partner, Daniela, is going to introduce you to the legal dimension of your current situation in Colombia. Go ahead, Daniela.
Thank you, Nicolas. Rappi is part of the gig economy, a labor market characterized by the prevalence of short-term contracts or freelance work, where instead of a regular wage, the workers get paid for the gigs they do, such as food delivery or car journeys. It is important to make clear that not everyone benefits equally from these platforms, since many of the workers find it as a way to earn extra income, but for some others, it is the only source of income. This means that some rapitenderos are working full-time and their necessities are different from the other ones. As the gig economy grew rapidly, Colombia's government did not prepare for this, for its arrival and effects. Therefore, the regulatory framework that sets limits or that favors the growth of this type of work has not been established yet. As you know, the Ministry of Labor in Colombia has just begun to regulate digital platforms such as Uber and Rappi. Now, let's contextualize a bit about contracts. In Colombia, there are three conditions to determine an employment contract. One, services are provided directly by the person. Second, there is subordination. And third, there is payment or salary. The contract between Rappi and Rapitenderos is a contract for service provision. There is no subordination, so this means that the contractor is independent or autonomous. If we talk about the existing relationships between the businesses and the workers, we find employee, where the business, hiring business bears the responsibility of paying social security, and independent contractors, when the business doesn't bear the payment of social security. A new relation has been discussed, assuming that the ones mentioned already are not adjusted to the gig economy. The discussions you have had with the minister led to the option of having flexible payment of social security, which means that the workers will not pay based on the minimum wage, but rather on their income. We consider it is a great idea, and it's necessary that important enterprises like Rappi keep having conversations with the government. But for now, it is something that the ministry would have to work on. A past reference for this kind of situations is the California Assembly Bill 5. In 2018, with the Dynamics case, the California Supreme Court ruled that companies must use a three-pronged test to determine whether to classify workers as employees or independent contractors. All of us know how important it is to grow sustainable, and that decent work is a big part of it. So we have come up to an idea that will differentiate full-time workers from those who do it as an extra activities. Therefore, they can have the full-time careers can have some facilities from Rappi. These will be based on gamification. which is the use of game elements in different contexts to create engagement. In this case, the application of the technique will be through a point accumulation system that depends on deliveries and worked hours. These points can be redeemed in 4 different categories: healthcare, education, welfare, and bonds. Those rapitenderos who are working with you full-time will accumulate points during the first 8 hours of work, which are the recommended ones. And those rapitenderos who are studying will have double points during the first 5 hours of work, which are the recommended ones for working and studying. We want to show that Rappi is willing to help those who believe in education. Now, Daniel is going to contextualize about the 4 categories mentioned.
Thank you, Daniela. As my partner told you, it will be 4 categories with subcategories. They will find benefits that they can redeem individually, or they can include their families through alliances that you already have with companies that are characterized for its high corporate social responsibility. But the idea is continue developing alliances with other institutions as a medical and educational, and in that way make your workforce grow and be as valued as they deserve. In the whole category, they will find an option to access to medical centers and medicine, manage non-chronic diseases, and medical and dental checkup appointments. Their family can also have access to these benefits. In education category, they will have access to courses, workshop, or technical training with institutions. You are going to develop alliances such as Don Bosco Institute, Industrial Polytechnic, the Digital Toll Training School, between others. During their school, during their educational training, they will have access to the benefits that my partner told you before. In the welfare category, they will find benefits when they work and when they not, such as movie tickets and amusement parks, between others. Also, they will have cycle and motorcycles repairers who are in charge who arrange the transportation with quality standards to avoid accidents. Currently, they have pit store. There are those kind of houses that you can see in the slide, and where rapitenderos can be. Sorry. And this category, those spaces, they will be find renovated, and where the rapitenderos can rest and have access to comfortable spaces with cafes, air chairs, televisions, bathroom, etc. And finally, the category of funds, where they will redeem their points in products from the supermarkets that you already have alliances, such as Jumbo, Carulla, and Éxito. Rapitenderos can access to products from the basic family basket as rice, meat, beans, and other basic consumer products. Now, I would like to give the word to my partner, Nicolas, who is going to introduce you the benefits that we found.
Thank you, Daniel. So in order to conclude our presentation, I would like to tell you about the benefits of our proposed solution. So through this solution, the life's quality of the rapitenderos will be improved. We are talking about like an emotional salary through which they will feel like part of the company, and they will be more committed in working for us. We also will be able to collect data in order to know better our employees and what their needs are. Sorry. We also will like to improve the service quality, and through that, our sales. And through this solution, we will be recognized in the whole industry as pioneers that will inspire other enterprises like us in order to strive to improve the quality of our independent employees. In the long run, we will gain new investors because they will recognize Rappi as an enterprise that is sustainable and has an impact in the society. So thank you for your attention, and we would like to ask you if you have got any questions.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes, can you just, as an initial question, can you clarify whether this solution is going to result in the conversion of any of our partners from independent contractors to employees, or does this solution enable our partners to maintain the flexibility of remaining independent contractors?
Thank you Thank you very much for your question. My partner, Daniela, who knows more about the legal dimension, has a pronounced word for you both. So, Danny, I give you the floor.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Thank you, Daniel, for passing the word to me. Yeah, in regards to your question, the idea is for them to remain independent workers, as we acknowledge that your business model at this time does not contemplate the hiring them as employees. And the idea is just that they remain flexible, but with better conditions.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you for your question.
Luis, are you there?
If I may, on the finance.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Luis, go ahead.
No. Just one question, because in the current conditions, I think it's really important, the on-demand delivery. So, because the mobility of all the people in many countries, obviously, it's very limited. So now it's a very good opportunity for Rapid to grow. So now the question is how you can obviously balance between one and the other, your proposal and the current conditions.
Thank you very much for your contribution and your question that you have just made. For us, it's very important that you are as involved as we are, and for that reason, all your points will be taken into account. Now, my partner Nicolas will clarify the doubt that you have arise. I give you the word, Nico.
Thank you, Daniel. So, and thank you, Luis, for your question. I think that taking into account the current conditions, this is a huge opportunity for Rappi to anticipate like the future regulation that is going to be implemented, maybe by the government, and taking into account the amount of Rappi tenderos that we have got. This is very important for us to get the help of our allies, like we have told you in the presentation, because financially this doesn't represent a bigger cost for our business. So through these alliances, we will make and to clarify the current situation of the economy.
Hi there. May I ask a question?
Of course.
Okay, so what's your timeline in rolling out the proposal? Like, you know, as far as what you would consider a successful situation for the independent contractors?
Yes, at first we would like to make like a pilot test and just in one city, as an example here in Bogota, and with a small amount of Rappi tenderos, we will start to plan and to take the control of the proposed solution. And we would like for you to examine how is the market and how is the performance of the couriers going, if they are more committed, if our service quality is improved through the time, before moving this big project to another cities and also to other countries.
Ali?
I have a question regarding the strategic alliances that you're proposing, and it's those alliances that will give us access to the different products and services that will be the helpful benefits. Are there legal implications that come up as a result of forming these strategic alliances and delivering a whole suite of products and services that are not in our core business? What are those legal implications, and how do we deal with those?
Thank you very much. Your question is so important for us, and I would like to give the word to my partner, Danny, who knows more about the legal dimension, so she can answer in a fluent mode the question that you have made.
Thank you. Let me check if I really got the question. You mean if there are legal implications with the alliances that we have? I didn't really get that.
Yes, so if we're setting up legal alliances with other types of companies to deliver services, including things like healthcare, dental care, things like that? Are there legal implications for us that we should be concerned about? And how do we manage that process of setting up all these alliances?
Okay, that would only work for the rapitenderos. So we are not going to give that kind of services to other people. So these alliances are made only for them as a for the ones that have accumulated the points, they will get this. We will manage that through, already we have a huge amount of alliances. So that would be checked through those allies that we already have, and also check their availability to work with us, and see how that would work with half of the part of it going from Rappi, and the other half would be part of the Rapitendero.
I would like to add something more to my part of the question, and is that this is going to work with a group of rapitenderos that we are going to filter for your company to try to catch only the rapitenderos that are full workers of your company. That's the idea, and we would like to start doing this because we think that they are the vulnerable population that need your help in this moment, at this moment.
I will also,
Sorry, go ahead.
I would also like to add that you currently have different alliances with different sectors of the economy. As an example, you have an alliance with a bank, it's Davivienda here in Colombia, and you could gain benefits from these alliances. So it's not our core business, but you could take the advantage, and you are already doing it by making yourself into the fintech sector. So by these alliances, you could step aside your core business and take advantage of the help of the biggest enterprises here in Colombia.
Related question, what is the financial impact of creating or strengthening those alliances on behalf of the independent workers? And do you anticipate any additional costs that need to be covered by the independent workers once they choose to accept one of those services?
Adrian, right?
Adrian.
Yes, Adrian, thank you for your question, and we have completed that. And Nicolas, that is our partner member who knows more about the financial dimension, have the perfect and prudent answer that are gonna. The idea is to try to solve and make this clear for you. And so, Nico, I give you the word.
Thank you, Daniel. So about the financial impact, we have to make clear that there is no reference point in this kind of solution in the strategy. We are going to be pioneers, and so the idea is to start with this solution or with this strategy, and to inspire other enterprises to do the same, while we evaluate through the path how are we going and what the results are. And about the additional cost for the Rapitendero, we have not anticipated them, but we will take that into account in further analysis of our proposed solution. But I think that Rappi could take the biggest part of the biggest percentage of paying this cost. So the idea is that the Rapitendero is not paying any more than he earns by a day, for example. Thank you for your question.
I have a question. Our company grew because we kept our labor costs very low. Why don't we just get rid of all these rapitenderos and use drones?
Thank you, Barney. I would like to address that question. In fact, you are starting to do some pilot tests with some robots in Medellin, but it's still very new, and it needs a lot of work on. And as we all know, technology also has costs, so implementing as much robots as there are rapitenderos could mean a higher cost for your company.
Okay, judges, any more questions?
I have
Bernie,
another question. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead first.
Thank you. Hi there, team. This is Ali. My question for you, there's actually two, but I'll ask you the first one for the moment, and it's the legal question. And I'm still not entirely clear. In the 9 countries that we operate in, if we hypothetically implemented your solution, which includes, if I understand it correctly, and you can correct me if I don't, which includes to some extent paying some social fund charges, providing these different types of benefits, advantages, however we want to classify it, a reward program. In any of the 9 countries we currently operate in, is there any legal risk that by taking these actions, we stand to at some point, either because of how long a Rapitendero is partnered with us, or through any of these actions that we propose, implicitly making them employees at some point where they would qualify for different status and that would change their relationship to our company? That's the first question I have for you. I just want to make sure I understand that analysis really well.
So the idea is to classify them, right? So we're going to make different categories, and that will be, we will collect that data with the point accumulation system. Then it is necessary to make clear that Rappi has a contract for service provision, and that would keep that way for now, at least in all the countries that you are working, you are operating. So make clear that it's not your responsibility, but it's something that Rappi wants to do to keep their careers motivated, and that you want to continue doing as a way of giving a extra motivation.
I would like to add that in the different countries in which we operate, the labor regulation is quite different. So we will have to try to adapt the solution in order to the solution to be adapted to the legal context of each country.
So is there some of the countries that in your analysis, as you're recommending this to us in the 9 countries we're in, is there some countries that you feel your solution is not going to potentially work because of the legal risk that it proposes to us by providing some of these payments that might turn these people who are independent contractors into employees? And if so, do you know which one of those countries we need to be careful with at this point of implementing the strategy?
No, in most countries, especially in South America, the regulations are almost similar, but there is plenty of camp of action in order to improve and to implement our solution in each one of these countries. So there is no limitations as all,
okay.
At all.
I would like to clarify something, and it's that we are not proposing you to directly pay for Social Security and all these other costs, as we know that in the system you have, it's not contemplated and it's not mandatory. But what we're proposing is more like through this point system, they can get some benefits and some advantages that are not related to legal aspects such as the Social Security, not directly. Like there are benefits more like on the basic meals, on their welfare, their health.
Okay, we are out of time.
All right.
Tiffany?
Okay, thank you.
Tiffany, back to you.
Thank you all for
everyone.
coming today and
Yeah, hold on,
participating.
hold on. We got a feedback.
I was just going to say thank you. That was great. I apologize for joining late. I actually came early, but my computer is borrowed, so my name was not recognizable. So I'm Jacqueline Kelly. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Jacqueline. Pleasure.
No. Hey.
Unmute, Tiffany.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on mute. We wanted to have a few minutes here to be able to provide some feedback for the team. So first of all, very well done. Take a deep breath and relax. It was a great job, a great presentation. Indeed, very, very nice materials. Your PowerPoints were very easy to follow. You all have a nice presentation style. You weren't saying things that were very different from what was on the slides, but I also didn't feel like you were just reading the slides to me. So it was a very nice balance, and you had a nice cadence throughout the presentation as well. That's actually something that's pretty difficult to master, so I think you all did an excellent job with that. And good job answering the questions as well. I think there were some pretty tough ones that we threw at you. I kind of like the technique that you used. I hadn't seen that before, where one person was running point on accepting the questions and then assigning them to different team members, which I think buys you a little bit of time to think about how you're going to deal with the question. That was really interesting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I grew up in a Spanish-speaking country. Your English is so much better than my Spanish.
Thank you.
Yeah.
By the way,
nervous.
the Spanish-speaking country that I grew up in, New York City. You did a great job. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
I have another recommendation, because as native Spanish speakers, we always train to speak very fast most of the times. So if you slow your voice, and also if you take time to make it clear, could be easier for all of us.
Okay.
Okay, it's important recommendation. Remember, you are not speaking in Spanish. This is in English. So most of the times, if we try to speak slower, it's better.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We'll take that into account.
Other feedback from the judges? Ali?
Absolutely. First of all, I definitely know what it feels like to be in your shoes, guys. So definitely take a deep breath. It's over. You've done the hard part. But there's definitely a benefit to doing something like this and having the takeaway. You functioned very nicely as a team. At least it seems to us that you probably worked very well together on this project. Sometimes you can tell teams that don't mesh well. Your materials were definitely very visually attractive to look at, very fun. What I would like to have seen a little bit more of, though, is why you decided to suggest what you did. You don't have to spend too much time on maybe an alternate idea or two. If we had more time, I would have asked you, well, why can't we just pay these people a little bit more cash, for example, ditch this whole program, make our lives easier, and call it a day. And if we have some turnover and some people leave, let them leave. But why is your plan, which is very fun, and it's the gamification concept, I get it, it's great. But as a company, you know, why should we even bother doing that? You know, these people are working for us, they can just have the cash and go make their own lives better. And we can change our pay rates like Uber does. You know, why does that not work for us? And then tell us why that would work for us. I think that would make your position look even better, of why should we go through this, do that test market, then roll it out, and all that kind of stuff. That would be, I think, one area, and a little bit more on the legal risk side. If this was a real presentation for the company, in our firm, because we are all over the globe, I've had to learn this lesson the hard way a number of times. And labor laws are usually, even in my role as the finance guy, are one of my #1 risks. So really understanding that legal part, which you did a really nice job on, going a little bit deeper and saying, maybe in some of these countries where it might be easier to roll out, other ones where you might suggest a couple changes that you can evaluate later. That would have been something that could have pushed it up a little bit, but overall, really nice job, and it was lovely to watch you guys present.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We
Thank you,
actually
Ali.
have that information, so we will take it into account for our ethics and sustainability presentations.
I agree with Ali. I think you did a wonderful job. At the beginning of the presentation, you assumed that we got to a certain point with you, that we were on board with the proposed solution, and even throughout the presentation, for example, choosing to give extra support to those looking to find time for education instead of a different group, for example, young parents or someone else that might represent the independent worker group that you're trying to assist. So more of the whys behind the whats, I think, would have been helpful to get us there, rather than assuming we agreed with all of those decisions as the board. But I did think that in terms of presenting to a board of directors, I do it all the time. I get to do it tomorrow. And I think you did a really nice job of simplifying the information and not using a lot of technical language, and really laying out the case very clearly in a way that, it's just simple speak that we can come along for the ride with you, and then, be able to have comments as we go. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, good luck in the rest of the competition. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.